Hi, and welcome to the Your Mac Life show. It's number 1062. This Wednesday, the 9th of September, 2015. And today, Shawn and I, mostly you guys and Shawn, will be talking about the Apple event today and everything that was announced, which some of the stuff I thought was pretty cool for a non-geek kind of person that I am. So Shawn will also be talking to Jim. Jim Dalrymple was down there with the event, and he'll be talking to him. And we all know Jim. He's from The Loop at theloopinsight.com. I always get that wrong, apparently.
Loopinsight.com.
Loopinsight.com. Okay.
You know, you could write this down.
Yeah. Cocksucker.
Oh, jeez, no.
Got it wrong. I know. I got it wrong.
1 minute in, and I'm not the one swearing. She is this time.
English. Hello. So without further ado, before I swear again, sorry. Here's Shawn King, the non-swearing Shawn King.
Oh, no, I swear, but I usually wait till later in the show to do it. Hey, folks, thank you guys very much for joining us. This is Your Mac Life for Wednesday. Apple launch day, Apple Mix. Christmas, with Apple. Never mind, that was awful. Bunch of things a bunch of things were announced by Apple this morning. New iPhones, new Apple Watches, and new bands. iOS 9 release date, September 16th. OS 10 El Capitan release date, September 30th. New gigantic iPads, new iPad Pencil, new iPad keyboards, and other accessories, which will come later. What else? The new Apple TV. No new Macs, no new MacBooks, nothing along those lines. But I think Apple's going to announce new Macs and new MacBooks sometime between now and American Thanksgiving. So sometime between now and is it the last Thursday in November? Some Thursday in November. I think we're going to see those announcements too. As Kim and I both noted at the beginning of the keynote, Apple's stock price was $112.90 at close. It's down $2.16 to $110.15, which is, so Kim was surprised by this, but us old-time Mac folks know that's the pattern. The stock always drops a few dollars during and after a keynote. It generally comes back, too, so it's never that big of a deal. Logan has noticed that YML Kim swears a bit more than his zany Uncle Shawn. Explain to Logan that's because she's British. I don't know what that has to do with it, but that's what she always tells me.
That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Sticking to it. So what did you guys think of the announcement? Have you had a chance to watch it? Hopefully you have. What do you think of the tone overall? What did you think of the actual announcements? Which parts of those things are you particularly interested in? As always, the first thought I always get is from Sly, and Sly writes, "Me want iPad Pro, pencil, keyboard, Apple TV. Anyone want to adopt me?" Yeah, I don't know about the Apple TV so much for me, but definitely the iPad Pro, definitely the pencil. How about you? What is it? I
love the pencil.
The pencil? Yeah, well, remember the pencil requires the iPad Pro.
No, but the iPad Pro is huge. It's like
massive.
Through a magazine. It's awesome.
It's massive. If you've got a 13-inch MacBook, which was what Kim has there, it's the same size as that screen.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
It is huge, and that is both good and bad. It's the same weight as the original iPad, and the original iPad was more than 1.5 pounds, so 3/4 of a kilo. That's significant weight. That's not light. That's not something you can just hold in one hand for long periods of time like you could an iPhone or an iPad Mini or things like that. So that might be a concern for folks. Exactly. You got to bring up those pipes. So is that a concern for anyone? The fact that the iPad Pro might be too big? For me, no. I'm dying to use one and play around with one because of photo editing. I can see with those new connectors, Apple has those 3 little buttons, and we saw in the video, the first thing I noticed, I said to Kim, was, what are those 3 buttons for? Well, it turns out those are connectors, lightning connectors for the keyboard. But as Johnny Ive said in one of the voiceovers, that's for other accessories too. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like Apple's going to allow third-party manufacturers access to that lightning keyboard. at the very least, I can see a new kind of connector for cameras, for other keyboards, for monitors, maybe. It's a lightning connector. Could it drive an external monitor? Probably not. But there are all kinds of other things that you can be able to connect to that. I'd love to have one, and I don't see it happening anytime soon, where I can directly connect a camera to it because it's faster that way. And being able to attach a camera to it means I can get the photos off the DSLR onto this bigger screen and do more photo editing, video editing, Photoshop work, even just drawing. Kim has started to get into drawing, and she's a very, very good drawer on pen and paper.
You want to come see my drawings?
See my etchings. Kim, could you see yourself using?
Yeah, I'd like to give it a go. Because I doodle, draw.
Oh, that's fine.
Sketch,
but the thing is,
but yeah, I like the idea of it's almost like a calligraphy pen where you can the fine point and you just alter the way you hold it and it gets a little bit thicker and you can shade in. Yeah, cool.
But you don't want to do that on the iPad.
I'd give it a whirl.
Oh, sorry. I offered and you said no.
I like colored pencils and pencils as well. The same reason I'm not a big fan of reading on the iPad or even I have a Kindle, but I like the feel of books
and paper
and pencils.
Because there's an app called Paper available on the iPad that allows you to draw with colored pencils and watercolors and oil paintings.
I did not know that.
A bunch of other stuff using it's around here somewhere, a thing that's shaped like an old pencil, a big square chunky pencil. So
I'd give it a whirl.
I'll show it to you. So yeah, you don't need the iPad Pro to do this. You can do that now with an iPad. But I'm definitely going to be going down to our local Apple store and check it out on day of launch to see. The problem is for us here in Canada, the problem is they're very expensive. And in Canada, they're even more expensive. You folks have kindly subscribed to Your Mac Life, and I get $2, $5, $10, $15 a month from some of you. And I take that money out of my American PayPal account and put it into my Canadian bank account and use it to pay bills and bandwidth and that kind of stuff. First of the month is when there's a big chunk that comes in, and it was $250 the first of the month. That translated into $332 Canadian. Yay!
That's great.
Because what that means is that the $250 you send me, I get an extra almost $100 because the exchange rate. Yay! But it also means that the things you buy that are based in America are more expensive. Arxine says, is the event video available yet? I missed everything. Yes, it is. Arxine, it is available up on the Apple store, up on the Apple page. So, same with the Apple Watch. You know, the Apple Watch is $800. The base model is $800 here in Canada. The iPad is going to be, someone do the exchange rate for me, but I think the iPad, the base version of the iPad, I think it's at $799 of the iPad Pro, is going to be $1,100 here in Canada. That's a lot of money. Now, someone mentioned that they were seeing other folks saying that the iPad Pro was going to be a MacBook killer, and I couldn't disagree more. If you need a laptop for the things that a laptop does, more power, OS X, a dedicated keyboard, those kinds of things, you're not going to buy an iPad Pro. If you need the lightness, relatively, portability, the stylus, the drawing, the keyboard, you'll get an iPad Pro. I don't think there's a whole lot of overlap there, except in screen size, using a completely different operating system. So it would be the same argument that the iPad Pro kills Chrome netbooks. It's not. It's a whole different thing. I can't see it happening. The other thing, too, is the new iPhone payment plan that Apple is doing, which I wonder if the folks at Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile and Sprint and Rogers up here in Canada knew about this beforehand. Because I got to believe they can't be happy about this. Because in the States anyway, from the numbers I've been seeing, Apple's payment plan is cheaper than AT&T's and T-Mobile's and those guys. It's great for those of us who don't have $300, $400, $500 just to drop to buy an iPhone, that you can rent one basically for $30 a month, $35, $40 a month, whatever it might be. Is that something you guys would be interested in? Would you basically rent your iPhone? I love the idea.
You get a new one every year.
You get a new one every year.
Freaking awesome.
I love the idea of they're including Apple Care Plus in it. Now, we don't know the details of that, but Apple Care Plus protects your iPhone and your iPad from accidental damage. So, for example, that me dropping my iPhone, you can see up there in the top corner, I've cracked my iPhone screen. If I had Apple Care Plus, I thought I had bought it, but in fact I didn't, I could have gotten this replaced for, I think, $49. I think it was the price. I know I've had my iPad replaced using Apple Care Plus. Monty says, I think it's the other way around. Apple's doing this because the U.S. carriers are making noise about dropping subsidies for smartphones. Oh, no. Most of them have or are going to. What I'm saying is Apple subsidies undercut the American carrier subsidies. It's not the same price. You're going to be able to go to the Apple store and get the new iPhone from Apple at a reduced price and a payment plan from Apple, and then you would go to your carrier and get a new SIM card if you needed one, or you just swap SIM cards with the phone that you already have. So you wouldn't do this. Cuts out the carriers out of that part of the transaction, and it cuts out the carrier from upselling you, from additional fees and that kind of stuff. So that's what's going to hurt the carriers. Apple TV was interesting. The little Frogger game, what would they call it? Colossal Party? What was that? 3D Frogger?
Crossy Road.
Crossy Road. It was hilarious. People were going, this is just Frogger. Yeah, so? So? And then we saw another announcement say that other companies are saying they're bringing on their products. And you're going to be able to use third-party controllers with this. So conceivably, a company that, I don't know the name of the company, my favorite car racing game, Forza Motorsport, conceivably could be available for the Apple TV. That would be huge. Games like Rock Band would be huge because it allows these games to be accessible to those people who don't have an Xbox, who haven't dropped $400 for a PlayStation 4. The only way for me to play Forza right now is if I buy an Xbox. The only way to play Rock Band is if you buy a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One, whatever it comes out on. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm not enough of a gamer to want to do that. But maybe I'm enough of a gamer that if they do it properly. So say, for example, Forza has this program where you buy the game for $50, or you rent the game for $5 for an hour. I do that once a month. Because that's all I really want to play. Every now and then I just want to race cars. And all the other games that we're going to see from developers. YML Kim says, oh, yeah, sorry, it's you. Kim says, my son is 23 and will love all the gaming stuff, but he has an Xbox. So he may not. Because it depends. He bought an Xbox to play these higher-end games. He didn't buy an Xbox to play Monopoly.
No.
He bought an Xbox to play Forza, to play Call of Duty, to play these higher-end games. That he can play
Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Which is going to be a while before that level of first-person shooter type game gets down to the Apple TV. Mosquito says, I'm not a real gamer. So what Apple's doing might just work for me. Exactly. I think that's it.
Yeah, it'll bring people in that aren't normally into that kind of
exactly.
stuff.
We'll talk about this and much, much more coming up later on in the show. But up next, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple. Jim was actually there in the room. There was video of him. We saw him on the video. We actually saw him talking to Johnny Ives. We'll talk about what he talked to Johnny Ive about. All that and much more coming up. This is your Mac Life. I heard you. I saw you on Twitter that you said you actually talked to Tim Cook. That must have been a big thrill for him. I've been working on that line all night long, man. Welcome back, folks. This is Your Mac Life. I am Shawn King, and joined on our phone by our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
Doing good, Shawn. How are you?
I am good. We saw you today on the video looking fit and healthy. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm looking pretty sexy.
You are, damn it, son. You are. Hey, we saw you actually driving. You were driving Renee Ritchie and Gruber around. You became an Uber driver in California for a little extra cash.
Yeah, right. Worst Uber drive ever.
Yeah, no kidding. So you were at the Apple keynote today. One of the things that we talked about before was the fact that it was at a auditorium that Apple hadn't used in the past, a 7,000-seat auditorium. But that didn't mean there were 7,000 people in there, does it?
No, I mean it was. I mean there were a lot of Apple employees there. The whole upper deck was Apple employees. So it was an interesting crowd, very exciting event. People. It's funny sometimes. People are excited by some of the smallest things.
Yeah.
It's not always the largest things that they're excited about. Like, hey, we have a new iPhone. Okay. But, and we also have integrated search and Apple TV. Woo! People just lose their minds and go crazy over that. And rightfully so. It's a great feature.
Given real quick off the top of your head, I know you're writing out your notes for an article on loopinsight.com, but give it a number or letter grade out of 10. What do you think it was? It was an A+, a B-, a 7, 8, 9?
What? The whole thing?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Well, you have to consider that it was an S model year, so no design changes, but we knew that going in.
Yep.
They added, some great stuff with 3D touch.
Yep.
That's wonderful. So, they gave us something that we weren't really expecting. I think what we were expecting was maybe some Force Touch.
Yes.
But we got a lot more than that. So that's very good. So, and on the iPhone, they gave us more than what we wanted. iPad Pro, my big question for iPad Pro was who was it going to be targeted for? Is it, the professional productivity people? Is it creative people? Who is this going to go for?
Yeah.
And I think that they answered that in spades by saying both. By having Microsoft and creative people up there and having the Apple Pencil. Which I love that you just pull the cap off and plug it in.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So I think that they did well there. Apple TV. You know, Apple TV is tough because they basically apps, but you know, we programs. You know, we want content.
Yeah.
And we want content the way that we want it, and we still don't really have that.
I think
whether Apple.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think overall, it felt like one of the better presentations Apple's done in a long time. It seemed to be smoother. It seemed to, even though it was 2 hours long, and there was certainly some fluff there always is. ArcSign's asking about, ask Jim if the keynote could have been done in half the time. Who needs 2 hours? Well, what would you have cut? There was nothing there. While you may have wanted to tighten up the presentations, Apple announced what they wanted to announce. Apple announced what they had to announce. I think they did a very, very good job announcing what they did, surprising us, even though there were all kinds of rumors, and that's the new reality of Apple. You're going to have a lot of this stuff, if not at least half of it, pre-released by the rumor mills. But still, given that, there were still a lot of neat things in it that you went, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's kind of cool. So I give on a scale of 1 to 10, it's an 8.5 to a 9 to me.
Yeah, you know, when I look at the things that yeah, certainly they can cut out lots. Actually, in the new things like Apple TV and iPad Pro, you're always left with questions.
Yeah.
You know, like if they cut out the demos for Microsoft Office and what else did they show there? Procreate, or they talked about Procreate. You know, then you're left with, well, are they going to support graphics artists, or
Yeah.
you know, is it going to be a big product? So they have to bring people out to show it. At least they didn't bring out, you know, like 10 productivity apps.
Yeah.
And, you know, they brought out one productivity app, one graphics, and, you know, go from there. So I thought that was good. They need to be able to not explain. I mean, explaining that's just words. They need to be able to show.
Yeah.
And they need to be able to show that third parties are in on this, that they're behind it. Because without that, you know, there's more questions than there are answers.
I haven't used anything in the Office line in probably 5 years, happily so. But I was still very happy and very impressed watching that Office demo on the iPad Pro. That was really kind of cool. And as many as people said that was a boring thing, open your mind and imagine that running with Pages and Numbers, or with 2 other applications, or with other things. Don't be so narrow-minded as to think they're only showing you Office. What they're doing is trying to get you to think bigger and realize, oh, if I can do this with Office, I can do this with Pages and Keynote and Final Cut Pro and GarageBand and. So don't just think that it was boring because it was Microsoft. And that was the other thing, too, that kind of pissed me off. I don't know if you saw it. Well, you didn't. You were in the room. But on Twitter, people were going, oh, my God, Microsoft on the stage at an Apple event. Hell has frozen over. Really? They've been doing this for 15 years, you frickin' morons.
Yeah.
The Office team has been on the keynote stage during Macworld Expos at least half the time that Apple was doing a Macworld Expo. Every second year, Microsoft had a new version of Office, and every second year, Jobs had them on stage doing a demo. Get over the fact that Microsoft and Apple are cooperating, kids. It's not the 80s and 90s anymore.
Yeah, they've been cooperating since the late 90s, you know. So, yeah, it's time to get over that.
There was also a big stink. Let's talk about some of the big stinks that happened at this thing. When you guys were in the room watching the demos, the demo of the guy showing the model's face and making her smile, Twitter lost its collective shit over that. Because here it is, a man making a woman smile. Oh, my God.
Oh, no, they didn't.
They did. Vox has a whole frickin' article about it showing all these people whining about the fact that they had a guy, quote unquote, making a woman smile. Apple's iPad Pro demo stirred an outcry after a model's face was edited to smile.
Wow. Well,
there's so much
even...
there's so much false outrage going on. It's as if people need to find something to be pissed off about. People were whining on Twitter over the fact that, oh, there's no women on stage. Well, if you'd waited 35 more seconds, asshat, women would have shown up. There was 2 or 3 of them on the stage. Stop looking to be outraged. Stop trying to find things to be outraged about. I was outraged over the fact that you were sitting there, slumped in your chair, feet askew, in an aisle seat. How did you get an aisle seat?
I don't know. Well, I'm just sitting there.
There was a great quote by a guy named Chetan Sharma. I don't know who he is. The Apple Pencil will end up making more in profits than many of the Android OEMs combined.
Yeah.
You know what? I would not bet against that. I would not say, no, you're wrong on that. You went into the demo area afterwards, and we want, I think it was Arcsign wanted us to, it was Mo, wanting to ask Jim, sorry, not Side, where's it go? Hey, Shawn, Mo says, can you ask Jim to talk about the space they use for demos after the presentation? Not quite sure what Mo wants you to talk about, but give us a bird's eye view of what that space was like.
Well, it was actually very clever because Tim said hands-on area, but there was no hands-on area. There was nothing. And then Tim said, okay, goodbye. And then all of a sudden, on both sides of the auditorium, walls opened, like full walls. They built walls in there.
Yeah.
All the mobile stuff and watches, the watch bands and the watches themselves. And then you walked all the way across the stage, or not on the stage, but all the way across to the other side, and they had the Apple TV stuff there.
Yeah,
and that was all. Like living room setup type thing. You could go into one of these setups and try out all kinds of different things.
One of the things that I thought was real interesting was there's 2 in particular I need your opinion on, because I don't have them in my hand. I've never touched them. First of all, the pencil, the stylus. It looked like, and I've used almost every stylus that has come out, and I don't use them for more than a week or so because they never have the detail, the level of touch, I guess I'm looking for, that I want. Is that stylus as good as it looked on screen?
I never actually got to use the stylus because it was just too jammed.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was watching people use it, and you can tell, just like when with audio, if there's latency, it screws you up, and you can't do it. Yep. So it really, it's the same with a pen or a pencil. If there's latency and you tend to go further than what you meant. Drawing and doing things, they were doing the lines like they wanted to, and it was turning out great. So I would have to say, based on anecdotal evidence, that no, there's no latency in what you draw to when it shows up on the screen.
Is the iPad Pro as massive as we think it is? It looks like it's the size, and it is. It's the size of a 13-inch MacBook Air.
Huge.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I'm just going to take my HD TV and say it's an iPad Pro,
No kidding.
But I took some picture. I took a picture overhead shot of the 3 iPads lined up, And it really is, it's huge. But it's not, you know, I felt the same way when I saw the iPhone 6 Plus. You know, but when I look at the iPad Pro, that's what people wanted.
Yeah.
You know, you want a big iPad? Okay, here you go.
There you go.
Here's a big iPad.
Is it too big?
So it was good.
Do you think it's too big?
No.
No.
I mean, there has to be some differentiation between the Air 2 and the iPad Pro.
Yeah.
And there is. You know, when you look at split screen and things like that in the iPad Pro, it's like Phil said, it was just built for the iPad Pro.
Yeah.
Because, you know, on the mini split screen, you know, it's kind of small anyway, but that's what it's made for. But then when you get to the iPad Pro, you just think, wow, yeah. This is perfect, you know. So, and it works great on Air, but on iPad Pro, it's just one of those things that, you know, because it's bigger, it's going to be better. I can audio in Pro Tools on an 11-inch Air.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah.
But give me a 27-inch screen, I can do it better, you know, because I'm moving around and I'm doing all the things that I need to do. It's great.
MacMan says, did it seem heavy, or is the size-weight ratio good for a tablet that size?
Actually, it is good.
Yeah.
That's good. Size, weight, very similar to the other iPads.
Yeah.
You know, you don't pick it up and say, holy 12 pounds, you know. You pick it up, it's heavier than what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Next question is anticipated by Brian. Shawn asked Jim about the keyboard feel. Did he like it? It looks like a Surface keyboard. I can understand why Microsoft folks are a little pissed off. It looks like the Surface keyboard. How did it feel? Did you get a chance to play around with it?
Again, not something I got a chance to play around with, but I did see it, and they're right. I mean, it does kind of look like the Surface, but
yep.
I haven't used the Surface one. I haven't used this one, so I have to wait and see about that too.
So, are you going over to Johnny I's place tonight to pick up your review copies?
Well, I'm waiting for him to call.
Because you two were pretty. You two were pretty buddy there. What were you and Johnny talking about?
iPhone design.
What did you ask him?
I can't tell you that.
Oh, come on, man! You got this picture.
We were just talking about design of iPhone, of 3D Touch, you know, just normal stuff.
I can. I saw that picture you posted up on Twitter. It was kind of cool. I like that picture. Over at loopinsight.com. Over at loopinsight.com, Jim's posted those pictures that he was talking about, and one of them is just fascinating. The iPad. I think you mentioned it. The iPad collection photo, where it looks like you've got the iPad Pro, the regular-sized iPad, and the iPad Mini side by side. Correct?
Correct, yeah.
Holy crap! I mean, I'm looking at the middle one, which is my iPad, and seeing it's physically looks like almost twice as big the iPad Pro.
Yes.
That's just freaking amazing.
And if you remember what Phil said, if you turn the iPad Air on its side, then it fits about half of an iPad.
That's the other thing that you need to, the stylus and the iPad Pro are two that I really, really need to have in my hands to see if I like them. The other one is 3D Touch. And watching the demos, I wasn't impressed by 3D Touch. I didn't see it as anything that I can't do already, sure, with a few more steps. But reading folks on Twitter talking about it, in particular our friend Ben Bajarin, said that this is going to revolutionize the way we interact with our phones. Do you agree with that? Did you get a chance to play with?
I do.
Really?
I do. I really do. Because, I mean, one of the things that we look to Apple to do for us in the user interfaces to make things simple.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody could say that the current interface is simple. It's kind of like Apple TV. We're always going in and then. So when you look at 3D Touch and some of the things that it can do for you, it's going to simplify the way that we use the iPhone, and it's going to be great.
The issue I have with it is that, like I said, it doesn't seem like you can't do it already, just with different gestures. The idea that when Federighi was showing it, and I'm watching him do it, and he's holding it down, and then there's again, because you can't do it yourself, you don't know how much pressure he's putting on, or a tap, things like that. It doesn't seem from the video that he's really doing anything that's all that interesting. But you guys claim it really is.
To me, it is, because when I touch on something, I want to be able to control it from there.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do things right from the point that I'm at. I don't want to have to go in, look through a message and then back out again.
No.
If I can do a little preview just by tapping, and it's controlled by how much you tap, and then when you hold down more, and it pops out at you so that you're actually in the message now, because now it's something I need to address. That's fine. It's kind of like the notifications, how useful you found that. If a message comes in and I see it's from you, and the message, the subject is problem, and I, preview it, and it says, I've got a problem with my keyboard. So it's not a problem with the site. It's not anything. And then you say, no need to worry about it. You can call me tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. Then I let it go. But if it's problem, the site is down, then I can pop into that right away and say, well, what did you do? How did you screw that up?
Yeah, no kidding. Which is a fair question.
So there are a lot of things that, being able to preview and pop in, what do they call peek?
Yeah, pop and peek. Yeah.
If you can just peek at something and okay, let it go, forget it. Because sometimes a notification wouldn't even be enough for that. But I'm a huge fan of notifications because it allows me to see what's going on without going in. But sometimes, if you get a message like that, where there's a perceived issue that needs to be dealt with, if I can just peek at it and say, oh, well, no, it's not a real issue that has to be dealt with now, and then just let it go, and away it goes.
Apple TV.
So, yeah, I think overall it's going to change things.
Well, I definitely believe it's one of those things you're going to have to go into an Apple store and actually play around with yourself. It said it wasn't that compelling to me on the video in and of itself. I could see how it could be useful for some folks, but I'm saying for me personally, I didn't see it as something that was all that compelling. Same with along the lines of the Apple TV. Watching the presentation live in the room, did you get the sense that people were excited about this new version of the Apple TV, or is this one of those wait and see things? Do you believe it's the future of television, as Tim Cook called it?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't. Because, again, for me, the future of television, how to deal with the content issue. And they didn't deal with that. So, the future of Apple TV is going to be apps. So they're going to have games. They're going to have all of this different stuff on it. So is this going to be the next big thing?
Yeah.
And certainly having Siri and search, across apps and things like that is huge, huge, huge. Because again, that stops the going in and coming back out, and that, to me, that's a huge issue. It's not a smart way to navigate, but it's really the only way that you have to navigate.
Yeah.
And, we see that not just on Apple TV, but basically all of the devices. You're going in, you're coming out, and that's the way it is.
I don't see, though, this being the future of TV, and this is my own personal biases when it comes to this kind of stuff, until I can get live TV on the Apple TV, I don't believe it can be the future. Until I can get NFL, and until I can get MotoGP, and until I can get those kinds of things live, I see it less as being the future of TV and just another option for a lot of users.
See, I don't need live TV.
No.
Now, NHL, which you can do live, yes, I agree with that. I need the NHL station to be live, and it is. And, MLB and all of that kind of stuff. You need that stuff to be live. Totally agree with that.
Yep.
But as for TV, I don't watch live TV.
No.
So I watch TV, on Apple TV, or recorded TV or whatever, but it's for live. So I don't see the future of the Apple TV needing to have live TV. I see it needing to have content, and without the constraint of needing a subscription to a cable company in order to see it.
Yep. Yeah, I think for a lot of folks, one of the issues is, I've been reading more and more about this, and I think it's very interesting, the ease of use of their cable company. Even though it's a giant pain in the ass deal, Comcast or Shaw here in Canada, they drop the box off, and it's this simple to watch stuff. On Thursday night at this time, your TV show is on. With any box, Amazon, Roku, Hulu, whatever you want to talk about, you have to subscribe to all the different services. Some of the services have the TV you want. Some of the services don't. You've got to maybe configure things differently, but it's really difficult for a lot of folks. And until Apple gets those deals done that they're rumored to be trying to get done with local broadcasters, with NBC and CBS, where I can turn on my Apple TV and either through an over-the-air antenna or directly through the Apple TV, watch NBC's Thursday night lineup on Thursday night at 8 o'clock at night, this can't be the future of TV.
See, I think that, I don't know, you and I think differently
Sure.
about TV. I look at it just as availability of content whenever I want it.
Yeah.
And usually, I remember years ago, I would know what night different TV shows were on because you had to know
Sure,
if you
yeah.
wanted to see them.
Yep, that's right.
I have no idea at all what night TV shows are on now until they show up in my season pass.
That's right, yeah.
And I say, oh, I can watch a show. I have no idea because I don't watch TV that way. So as long as they have the content available to me after the live show is aired, and what is it, within 24 hours or something,
Yep.
It's available on iTunes, I'm good with that. Because the night that it's airing live, I'm watching the shows that were on the night before.
But one of the downsides, though, is that how much is that costing you? The season's pass to that show is $20. The season's pass to this show is $20. The season pass. So if you're watching 10 shows, you're spending $200 just on those TV shows.
Right. Yes. Agreed. I mean, there has to be some balance.
Yeah.
And right now we don't have that balance. And I think that's probably what's bothering the cable company.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think that's what makes me say, as soon as Tim Cook said the future of TV, I went, oh no, dude, it's not. It's cool. There's no doubt about that. And the apps are going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the apps of playing casual games with friends, with Kim and her son Matt coming over, and hey, let's play a game of Crossy Road or whatever it might be. That's going to be fun. But that is not the future of TV, in my opinion. That is not that kind of stuff. But that being said, this kind of stuff should worry the broadcast networks, if only because the more time I spend playing apps on my Apple TV, it's the less time I'm watching NBC's Tuesday night lineup and seeing their advertisements. That's got to worry the major broadcast networks.
Well, I think that the broadcast networks are worried about Apple and the power that they have. Able to ink a deal, for content. When you look at, notice the search today is only going to Showtime, Hulu, Netflix, and iTunes.
Yeah.
It's not going to the rest of them. Well,
right,
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the cable networks, and I doubt that I'll ever agree with the cable networks. But, I'm willing to pay a fair price. I don't want everything for free.
Sure.
I know that there's a lot of people out there that will download stuff and, expect it for free because the cable networks make enough money. Hey, I'm cool with Apple TV. I really am.
Yep.
There could be a sports bundle with NFL and NHL and okay, I'll buy that. And there could be, like your HBO, Showtime, USA. Yeah, okay, I'll buy that. But you can't expect me to be paying like $1,000.
Yeah.
That's just a bit outrageous.
Looking forward to reading your piece. I know you're working on a piece for The Loop at loopinsight.com. Hopefully that'll be up tonight or sometime tomorrow. Folks, check it out on loopinsight.com. Also, Amplified is available on the iTunes Store along with the Jim Dalrymple Report. The Dalrymple Report up on iTunes. Hope we had a good time today, Jim, and look forward to reading your thoughts about the event later on this week. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
Talk to you soon. See ya.
Bye.
Sorry. No, that was me dumping. Why do I all of a sudden have?
What?
Oh, suddenly I'm getting a feedback. Sorry, is that?
It's a phone.
Everything sounds funny in my head all of a sudden. That's really weird. I wonder what the hell's causing that. Is anyone else hearing that? It's like there's an echo, of feedback loop, and that's so weird. So today was your very first. Let me just make sure I do that. Your very first. Monty says yes, just in your head. Thank you, Monty. Your very first Apple keynote.
Yes, it was.
You've never watched one of these things live before. The advantages and or disadvantages of being unemployed. You're able to sit with me tonight or today and watch it. Do you have any overall impressions about this?
I was impressed. It wasn't as nerdy, geeky, techny, whatever the word is. It was interesting. I really liked it.
What was interesting about it?
I like the fact that the visuals are really good with Apple always. And Johnny Ive. I like him.
Will you guys just start your own Johnny Ive fan club, please? I'm begging you.
Yes.
Someone right now go to Twitter, set up the Johnny Ive fan club Twitter account.
Yes.
And then y'all can just post to it.
Yeah. And I had an idea in the IRC. I said we should call it I've Got an Idea. I've an idea.
Oh, God.
Yeah. He'll like
that. There you go, Twitter. I've an idea.
I have an idea. But yes, I like the visuals. They get to the facts. And I was excited. And I'm not a geek or nerd that use a lot of technology, but I love that Apple Pencil. The fact that it's, fine. It's like a calligraphy pencil.
Yep.
Can draw and sketch and stuff.
By the way, cool. just to back up, let folks know, you did calligraphy in school, didn't you? This was something that they taught in school?
No, we had to use fountain pens. I had to write with a fountain pen. I wasn't allowed to use a biro, as we call them in England.
A what?
A biro.
A biro? I've never heard.
A biro is like a ballpoint pen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to use a fountain pen.
Okay.
So I mean that was good. I like the bigger iPad Pro.
Mm-hmm.
I like that because it's like a magazine. I can actually probably be better for reading for me on that because it's bigger. I just love the way Apple finishes stuff. Like they're just classy.
Yeah.
Like that 3 point, the magnetic connection for
Yes.
the keyboard. It's just smooth, man. Like cool. So cool. Very cool. The gamer thing, the Crossy Road.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Aussies, but but the Crossy Road, I was like, okay, yeah, it's just like a game. But I don't know. I wasn't so excited about that. But I'm not a gamer, so I'm not into games. My son is, and I think he will or would like the Apple TV. The fact that you talk to Siri and you go, hey, I want to watch a movie, and I'm watching this, and then it makes you think of, you're watching Fast and Furious 7 or whatever, and it makes you think, oh, okay, I want to play a racing game. So then he goes, I'm going to play a racing game with some of his buddies or his brother. I can see him doing that. That's kind of cool. And the fact that you just talk to her and she brings it up on your TV for you.
Yeah, that could be kind of interesting. I don't know if it's see, I don't have a problem with the way we interact with the Apple TV now, except there's a lot of button clicking. I like it. I haven't used it, but so maybe the Apple TV, the search functionality of it would be kind of interesting, cool. Show me all the movies with Shawn Connery. Show me all the movies with whoever it might be. I get the sense, though, that would wear off really quick.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, that's not how we watch TV.
I would
really?
Because I hate normal TV where I have to, like I said, I go through the guide and then I go, okay, what was that program called and where is that? And I have to click through all the channels. The fact that I could say, hey, make me laugh. I want some comedy.
Yep.
What's on that's going to make me laugh right now? Or, what's on that's got Johnny Ive in it right now? Yeah. I like that idea.
Sherry
That's cool.
says, Shawn, you lied. You said Kim was really excited about Crossy Road today. I thought she was, Kim. She seemed to be enjoying it, but she's so fickle.
I like Aussies.
By the way, the Ivan Idea Twitter account has already been taken.
Oh,
although they haven't
bugger.
tweeted since 2011.
Yeah, what?
They've never tweeted once.
What kind of fans are they?
You know what? I think
Hello.
that, hey, Twitter, if someone gets a Twitter account and they haven't tweeted anything after 6 months, dump them. Let someone else use the frickin' account.
Yeah.
Now, you have not, again, you were not, you were, what?
I don't know. I'm waiting. I am not.
You are not a techie, a geeky kind of person. You are creative. You do have a creative streak in you. So there are things that you would like to create.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think from the pictures, and again, we haven't seen them up close, that for you, with your little delicate self, that the iPad Pro would be too big a machine for you?
No.
No?
I'm a big girl. I'm a big girl.
You ain't that big. You ain't that big.
No, I like it's big.
No.
I like that. That came out wrong. But yes,
No,
okay. Yes.
Because that to me was the most interesting part of the whole keynote was the iPad Pro. That to me was the one thing that I'm going to be the most interested in getting my hands on, along with the pencil, to try out. But it seems that it's a damn big machine, and this is not the iPad for everybody. Don't anyone make that mistake. This is the only iPad Apple's selling. As Sherry pointed out rather grumpily, Apple's now got like 6 different iPads you can choose from. 4, I think it is. 4 different iPads you can choose from. So that's great. Different price points, all the way down to $300 up to $1,200. Just find the one that fits your budget and fits your style. One of the things I said last week was I was looking forward to seeing what Apple is going to announce today that would make perhaps my iPad, the one I've got now, more useful. Because right now, it's just a bedside table alarm clock. Literally, that's all I use it for.
And reading.
And yeah, at night I read Twitter and read Pocket and
Mm-hmm.
read Kindle books. So does the iPad Pro make me want to give my iPad to Kim and go spend all that money on a brand new one? I honestly don't know. I think it'd be easier to digest if the Canadian dollar wasn't so bad.
Yeah, that is a bugger.
That's definitely an issue for us here in Canada. Like I said before, the iPad Pro I'd have to get the pencil, which is $100. So I'm looking at $900 for this thing. By the time you do let's just do it right now. We'll do this live right here on the show.
Yeah.
What is the
1,200?
The exchange rate, Canadian dollar to US dollar, if the iPad Pro, let's say I'm looking at $1,100. That's $1,450. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot, actually.
That's not only a lot of money, it's a lot of money that could be put towards a new MacBook.
Yeah, which
a
is
new
what Matt
laptop.
said. I told Matt to check it out,
Yeah.
and he said, "Oh, it just looks like a big iPad. I'd still get a MacBook if he was going to get one." But I don't know what it's like. It talked about that AutoCAD program because Matthew, he likes video editing with his GoPro, which is cool. But he also at work uses that what's it called? SolidWorks program, which uses up a lot of memory.
Yep.
So I don't know if you could use the iPad Pro for.
Monty says, the first time I see someone with an iPad Pro taking a picture of someone in portrait mode, I'll take the iPad away from them and beat them to death with it. Arkstein says, Monty, that's just mean. Don't be a bully. Please beat them to death with a Surface Pro or something. That poor iPad Pro doesn't deserve adding injury to insult. Monty, you are not a professional photographer. You have no right to tell anyone else how to take pictures. Even if you're Ansel Adams, you have no right to tell anyone how to take pictures. So if you want to take a picture with an iPad Pro, you let them. Now, the thing that's going to piss people off is when you're at an event and some asshat's holding up an iPad Pro trying to videotape the event. That's going to piss me off. But if someone wants to take a picture with an iPad or an iPad Pro, what you've just said, Monty, is the equivalent of if someone's using an Olympus, I'm going to beat them with it. You should not care what device someone uses to take their pictures. And whether it's in portrait mode or landscape mode, mind your own goddamn business. It's got nothing to do with you, so let them. Monty says, I know, it's supposed to be funny. It wasn't!
I know.
Any interest in now you've got an iPhone 5S, right?
Yes, I do.
Any interest in the new bigger iPhones?
No.
Any interest in the payment plans for the new bigger iPhones?
I do like that idea. I do like the idea that you can get one payment plan and then upgrade every year.
Yep.
Yep. I do like that because I'm a big iFan.
A big what?
An iFan.
No, you cannot use that word in this. You must use Mac. You're not
I'm
an
iPhone
no.
fan.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
I really do like it. There's nothing in the iPhone 6S Plus, name's getting unwieldy, that I saw today that would convince me to get rid of this iPhone 6 Plus for a new one. Screen's not any bigger. Until I try it out, I'm not convinced that 3D Touch is
I was
the
a bit
end-all,
confused
be-all.
about that. Yeah.
But I will respect Jim and Ben Bajarans and other folks who've actually used it. I'll respect their opinion. So I want to go see it for myself. But even if it works exactly the way they say it is, to me, it's not compelling enough for me to want to get rid of this thing. But the payment plan thing, I think, and I've said this before, is going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
Because it allows a lot more people, and a lot more people in a lower economic bracket, to be able to afford an iPhone. And Apple is going squarely after Android users. Because if you go into Rogers or T-Mobile or Sprint or AT&T, I want to get an iPhone. Well, that'll be $300 or $400, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Okay, how much for an Android phone? Oh, those are free. We're just giving those away for free.
Yeah, because
or it's $49, or it's a penny, or it's a 2-for-1 deal, or. They're going to buy, a lot of folks are going to buy the Android device. But if you go into those same stores and say, I can get a free Android device, or I can spend $30 a month on this iPhone, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll keep doing that because once a year, I get another new cool phone.
Mm-hmm.
There's no downside to this. This is not one of those lease payment things where, if you lease a car, you can only use it you don't use it on alternate Tuesdays kind of thing. This is going to be a full-fledged phone, no restrictions, that you can get for $30 a month. Now, sure, a lot of folks can't afford it, but the vast majority of folks can find some way to spend $30 a month on a brand new, sexy phone. And this is not just going to be for people in the U.S. or Canada. This is going to be for folks in the developing world. This is something Apple's going to roll out in China, in India, in Brazil. Those are what were called the BRIC countries. Brazil, India, China, and Russia. That's the other BRIC countries. The vast majority of the population of our planet are in those 4 countries. And Apple would love to be able to sell cheaper phones there. And this is a way of them doing it. Folks talk about handwriting in the IRC chat room. Okay.
Yeah.
How's your handwriting now?
It's not that good.
No.
It's actually got worse. I don't have bad handwriting, but I have very unique handwriting. It's not your typical how it's taught handwriting, like the F's and G's and certain letters are done a certain way. I don't do them that way. I have my own style. But I've noticed my handwriting is actually not as good since I had my osteoarthritis operations on my thumbs. Yeah, I don't hold a pen the same as I used to, so it kind of makes it weird. But yeah, we're talking about lefties and righties.
Someone said that, Monty, and how about the Android app in the Android marketplace to make migrating to iOS easier? Let them. So I think that's going to be a bigger deal for Apple than anything else they announced today. It's less obvious, this payment plan thing. I think this means that Apple is going to have, in the coming Christmas season, the best sales figures they've ever had. And that's generally easy because they've done that for every year. Yeah. But I think it's going to be significantly different. Apple has said, they didn't say it today, but they often say on analyst calls and things like that they're seeing more Android switchers all the time. And Ben Bajarin had a great theory about this, that people buy this, they're not sure about these smartphone kind of things, so they buy the cheapest one. This is very common. You're not sure about a computer, a camera, a car. So you buy the cheapest one you can afford. You use it, and you grow out of it. You don't like it. It feels flimsy, or you don't like the apps, or whatever it is. And you've heard about this other device. You've seen the commercials. Your friends might have one. You've seen it in magazines. So after your 2 years with Android, you think, you know what? I want to get one of these iPhone things. And Ben Bajarin believes that there's a huge bubble of people who are moving through their contracts, who are getting ready to, this fall and winter, they'll get new phones. And this is the opportunity Apple has to capture some of those folks and make them iOS users, make them iPhone users, maybe make them iPad users. Along with all those folks who 2 years ago got an iPhone 5S or even an iPhone 5. I think Greg Gear was saying that he's still running an iPhone 4S.
Mm-hmm.
Barbarian. It's like using sticks to start a fire, dude. It's like winding your car up to get it to start. Come on. So there's that group of people, that mass of people who are getting ready to upgrade this coming fall and winter. And Apple wants to capture a large percentage of them. And I think they will.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you still have an iPhone 5S and not a 6 or a 6 Plus? You've complained about the size of it. You complained that you can't read on it.
No, I don't complain about the size of it.
You complained about the... No, stop lying. You complained that you couldn't read on it this morning when you were looking at it.
That's my eyesight. That's not the phone's fault.
But what I'm saying is a bigger phone would solve that problem.
To some degree.
Not to some... No. I am the exact same situation that you are. My eyes are going, but they're not bad enough for glasses, although you wear contacts. And wait a minute. If you wear contacts and glasses, why can't you read stuff on your phone?
Because I need to put glasses on top of my contacts.
Doesn't that mean your contacts are not the right prescription?
No, it doesn't. It's because I'm short-sighted. It means these contact lenses are for distance. So when I hold something here to read, it's like, oh, shit, now I need glasses as well.
Shouldn't contacts solve both the problems?
No.
Well, see, I don't know anything about glasses, so I have no clue. So, okay, anyway. But so I have the same issues that most of us as we get old have. I can't read small print in general, and certainly can't read it under darkening conditions. So this is one of the reasons why I got the big iPhone. So you're in the same situation. Why not get the bigger iPhone?
Yeah, maybe, but I don't see that yours the words are that much bigger than mine.
I'll show you. We can show it side by side.
That's what she said.
What's wrong with you?
Yours is bigger than mine?
Stop it. Okay. So what do you guys think? We've been talking this ourselves. Send us emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. What are your thoughts about the new Apple TV? Is it the future of television? I don't think so. Maybe you have a different opinion. Will you get an iPhone 6s Plus? Does it make the other iPhones more attractive to you? What about the iPad Pro? Is that something you are going to get this Christmas under your tree? Talk to us about the Apple Watch. It was interesting when I asked in the IRC chat room this morning. We had, I think, 10 people there. And I said, how many of you have an Apple Watch? And only 2 of the folks in there. You got to assume the people who are going to be in an IRC chat room are going to be fairly geeky. Only 2 of them.
No, there wasn't. There was about 4 out of 10.
No, there was 2 out of 10.
I think there was more than that, but anyway.
Let's do it again now. We've got 15 people in the IRC chat room. How many folks in the IRC chat room have an Apple Watch today? Not plan on buy one.
Just have one.
Have an Apple
currently.
Watch right now today. Kim, you keep track of the responses from folks and let me know. In the meantime, as always, send us emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Love getting emails from you guys. You want us to read it on air live? That's the address, onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Or during the week, please send me emails to Shawn@yourmaclifeshow.com. I love getting emails from you guys during the week, too. I try to respond. Sometimes I don't respond during the week because I want to save the response for the show. So if I don't respond to you within a week, resend it. But I generally want to respond to folks on the show when they send show-related questions. In literally 3 days, 8 hours, 20 minutes, and 30 seconds, Kim and I will be jetting off to the Grand Sunset Princess in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. So there will not be a show next Wednesday evening. We're going to try to do some video. We're going to try to do some stuff, obviously pictures, because that's what I'm good at. Will get posted up on the YML site, on Flickr, on Facebook. Flickr, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual social media stuff that I am involved in. So please follow YML Kim, YML_KIM. Don't follow me, because you follow me, you get all my gibberish. You don't want my gibberish. Follow Kim, because she retweets only the nuggets. She will be the person who will separate my wheat from my chaff.
I'm the filter.
She will be my filter. So that's you know what? I think this is brilliant, actually. I think this is the way you guys can get just the best of Shawn, filtered through Kim with the occasional boob shot.
What?
You can't go...
I never agreed to that.
Oh, all right, sorry. Maybe. So yeah, follow us on Twitter and or on Facebook. So what's the count so far of people with Apple Watches?
2, I think.
2. See, 2 out of 15.
13.
I see 15 people. Anyway,
Evan's
but still
not real.
Oh, yeah. But still, not as Monty, actually. Still, there are fewer people than you would expect. I think that's interesting to me, is that there are fewer people. Every time I ask this question, there are fewer people than I would expect who have the Apple Watch. And certainly because it's very expensive for a watch. For a watch that a lot of folks don't see the visceral value in it. They don't see immediately how they can use it. The best thing, though, is watching and listening and reading people who do have an Apple Watch, how so many of them literally say it has changed their life.
Mm-hmm. The fitness aspect.
Especially the fitness aspect of it.
Yeah, very cool.
The fitness aspect of it seems to be the one thing that so many people are surprised about. We saw it this morning, and I can't remember who it was, my apologies. Someone said that those damn rings make them exercise even more.
Yeah.
Because the rings
complete the ring.
The rings get 80% or 90%. Like, oh crap! Okay, I'll go for a walk, and they force themselves to go for a walk just to complete the ring. It's really kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's certainly an expensive device. It's not something to be entered into lightly. Again, up here in Canada, it's hellaciously expensive, even for the most basic version. That's one of the reasons why Kim and I haven't gotten one. It's just so bloody expensive. It's hard to justify. So sorry, I should never breathe in and talk at the same time. Send emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. We get emails from this was Kim and I last night watched Man in the Machine, Steve Jobs, Man in the Machine. Mm-hmm. And there was an interesting quote with this. Let me see if I can't just dig it up real quick. What I said about it. So this is a documentary by a guy named Alex Gibney. And Alex is the director of another documentary that Kim and I watched, and we really liked it, called Going Clear, about Scientology. So this one's called Man in the Machine. And I wrote on Twitter, it was inaccurate in places, pointless in others, but overall, okay for the average person, but bad for anyone who was Apple knowledgeable. What I mean by that is, unless you know about Apple, unless you are in Apple lore, like many of us old-timers are, you don't know where the director was inaccurate. And the other part is, you don't know if he was intentionally inaccurate. And sometimes it's minor things. For example, we're watching the documentary last night, and I stopped the video and said to Kim, that's not the way it happened. That the other reports, the reports of what happened of the event live, were the exact opposite. He spent a lot of time in the documentary talking about the suicides at Foxconn, and we heard about those. We talked about those on the show for several months. There was a rash of suicides at the Foxconn plant, which is Apple's supplier, the folks who actually build your iPhones there in China, and by the way, build lots of other devices for lots of other people. Everyone seemed to want to blame Apple for this directly. Yes, Apple holds some responsibility because that is their supplier, and they can hold their supplier's feet to the fire, as they have since done. The documentary said nothing along those lines. It said that there have been X numbers of suicides in this year. It didn't say how many suicides there have been most recently, which is 0, or actually very few. I think there was one a couple of weeks ago. They made it seem that this one particular suicide they focused on was somehow directed by Apple, was caused by Apple, which is patently untrue. Mm-hmm. Now, certainly the Foxconn bosses handled the situation very, very poorly. I remember when this happened thinking, yeah, that's not the way you handle these things. And there are several other instances like that where where the director chose to represent an event that I knew about in a way that wasn't
more negative.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't dishonest, but was more negative than it needed to be. One of the examples I used was, and Kim didn't know this. This is a perfect example. Kim was not aware of this stuff. My apologies if I say her name incorrectly. Yuri Watanaki, formerly of the Wall Street Journal, wrote a story called The Haunted Empire about how Apple is basically failing now because Jobs has died. First of all, that's patently untrue. Objectively, Apple is better off now than it was the day Steve Jobs died. It's better off now than 2 years before Steve Jobs died. The company has gotten bigger and better in every possible metric that you can possibly write down. Her book was universally reviled. There was 2 good reviews of the book, and both of those reviews were by people who had a connection to the author. Any independent reviews were basically, this book is crap. So having her be interviewed for a significant period of time was a choice the director made to be negative. He certainly could have balanced her with other authors. There's lots of other authors who've written stuff. For example, the author of Jobs' autobiography was not interviewed in this movie. Maybe he didn't want to be. We don't know. But it's a weird juxtaposition to have someone who is known to be negative about Apple, but not have someone to give balance in a documentary who's known to, if not be positive, but to be less negative. One of the most interesting quotes I saw was from a New York Times columnist named Joe Nocera. And Joe has covered Apple for many, many years and covered it badly, quite frankly. Joe was talking about how, whenever I write about Apple, the Apple fanboys come out of the woodwork. Yeah, it's because you write shit, Joe. Steve Jobs actually called him up and called him a hack because of one of his shitty ass columns. The interesting thing that Nocera said was that he didn't understand how people could feel this way about just a phone. And what did I say, Kim?
I can't remember.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Don't put me on the spot like that.
I'm trying to get a sip. I said it showed a fundamental lack of understanding of Nocera of what the iPhone is. It's not just a phone.
Oh, that. Yes.
For the vast majority of us, it's not a phone at all.
No. Way more than a phone.
Rarely use. When's the last phone call you made?
Oh, God, days, a week ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't use my iPhone as a phone.
No.
We just happen to call it an iPhone. For me, it's a communication device.
Mm-hmm.
And other folks are making the point, and you just agreed with me when I stopped and said this, that the iPhone, Sherry Tuttle has wrote a book with this kind of stuff too. She was also very negative. She said the iPhone is an isolating device. And I disagree with that completely. My example is a longtime listener, Marcus Mendez. If it weren't for the iPhone, I wouldn't know that Marcus is in San Francisco right now.
And he's
hanging out.
Too.
And then tomorrow or the next day, he's going to San Diego. And then he's going to London to see a David Gilmour concert. That's really cool. You know, I'm tweeting back at Marcus going, dude, that's great. Have a great time. Here's some links of places to go in San Francisco. And, oh, by the way, make sure you go to the Buena Vista Cafe and have like 10 Irish coffees for me because it's the best Irish coffee. Da, da, da. If it weren't for this device, Marcus would never be in my life. He's not in my life. He's in my virtual life. Vito Mori. If it weren't for this show and this device, I would know that Vito and his wife were doing this thing, that his daughter was off to do this thing. So I don't see these things as isolating.
No.
They can be. If you sit down at a party or at a friend's house and just bury your nose in your iPhone, well, that to me means the friends who are around you aren't particularly interesting. You don't like the friends who are around you.
But that's your nature anyway. Like if you're going to be isolated, you're that kind of person anyway, to start with. But yeah, the iPhone is way more than a phone.
Monty says, Foxconn makes many things for many other vendors other than Apple. To attribute those suicides by Foxconn workers just to Apple is unfair, unless there's clear data that those workers did nothing else other than work on Apple products. Monty, in this case, the suicides that they focused on in the movie was just an Apple employee, Apple employee, was a guy who only worked on Apple. He was actually responsible for prototypes, Apple prototypes that were shipped to California. He lost one, and Foxconn basically crawled up his ass trying to get it back. The poor guy legitimately lost it, but they obviously thought he had stolen it and put him through the ringer. Apparently, they beat him, and the guy committed suicide. But that's not an Apple issue. That's a Foxconn issue. And yes, maybe you can hold Apple ultimately responsible for it. Ultimately, Tim Cook is responsible for it, but realistically, no. And Apple has cracked down on those kinds of things. iFan says the iPhone is a pocket computer. It works damn good. Never gets malware, and it's about as easy as possible. What is not to love about that? One of the problems I had with the movie, too, was that it started off with the premise of why do we love Steve Jobs? Why do we have this outpouring of emotion on Jobs' death? And I know when it happened, I was surprised by my reaction as well as the reaction of other people, too. Mm-hmm. And the end of the movie tried to answer it, too, but the stuff in the middle didn't really answer that kind of stuff. It's a tough question. I don't know if it's just because he developed these products that I really enjoy using. I don't know if because he developed this stuff that I use every day, that I have an affinity towards this stuff, and therefore I have an affinity to the guy who created this stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the reason why I felt the way about Jobs.
That's what it is.
He's responsible for the enjoyment I get.
Connection, yeah.
Using this stuff.
Yeah.
But the only way I'd know that for sure is if I stopped using this brand of stuff and use someone else's brand of stuff. Mm. And you don't have a gun big enough to make me do that. I use Windows enough. I don't need to do it again. But it's interesting to think about that. Why did we feel that way we did about Steve Jobs? Mm-hmm. And I have no problem with that being the movie. Then the movie was kind of fair about the downside of Jobs. But it wasn't fair about the downside of Jobs after he came back. Yes, up till 85, he was demonstrably a complete asshole. When he came back in 96, and the movie doesn't make this point, he was completely different. We heard him say that he had gathered around him the best minds of his generation of middle-aged white guys. These guys were the best of the best. And if you are the best of the best, if you're an Avi Tavanian, if you're a Phil Schiller, if you're a Tim Cook, and your boss is an asshole to you in this time frame from 2000 forward, you know what you do? Goodbye, boss. I'm going to go work for another company. I'm going to go be CEO of this other company. You think Phil Schiller couldn't get a CEO job for twice the money at any other company in Silicon Valley? Easily, Cook could. Sorry, Schiller could. Cook could too. Jobs said that I'm not the same guy. I can't drive these people the way I did before because they won't listen. I can't ignore their ideas. I can't poo-poo everything they say. It can't be a company that's just me because A, the company is too big, and B, these people are too smart. If I ignore them, they'll leave. So they didn't do enough of balance of that. They certainly portrayed the early Steve Jobs as the tyrant he certainly was. They didn't portray the later Steve Jobs as, for lack of a better way of describing it, less of a tyrant. He certainly was a tyrant. I told Kim my 2 Steve Jobs tyrant stories. He certainly could be a complete asshole, but certainly less than before. And he was much nicer in general after he came back than he was before. But again, the movie didn't make that point. iFan says, Shawn, yes, you're correct with the Buena Vista Cafe. Really good Irish coffee right at the end of the cable car line. They're in San Francisco. You're generally going to be downtown. Right there at the Apple store is the Powell Street cable car. Hop on that one. It takes you and go all the way to the end. You get off at the end, and on the left-hand side, there's a restaurant, just up a little half a block up. It's called the Buena Vista Cafe. It's the first place in America where they served Irish coffee. You actually watch the videos. Go to Buena Vista. Go to YouTube and search for Buena Vista coffee, and you'll see the guy making like 40 cups of Irish coffee all at once. This is the guy's only job, is making Irish coffee all frickin' day long with the tourists. My record is sitting there and having 12 Irish coffees.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot.
And they use the good stuff too, Jameson's. Monty says he was different. Some of that can be attributed to growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Highly intelligent people, quite often in my experience with them, are severely lacking in social skills.
Yes.
Their brains develop those skills much slower than the cognitive part.
I agree.
iFan says, make sure you get the Power Hide line car, not the Powell Mason line cable car. I didn't know there was a difference, iFan. Thanks. I've always just gotten on the first cable car and always, I guess I've been lucky. Always ended up where I wanted to be. I wouldn't say don't watch Man in the Machine, but watch it with a critical eye. Don't just let it wash over you and accept everything. A lot of it is questionable. That's why I think it's why I can see why people at Apple, ADQ and others have dismissed this movie as being too negative. It certainly could be seen that way, especially if you if Steve Jobs was a friend of yours, could be seen as being too negative. It wasn't too negative, but it was more negative than it needed to be, and they didn't show the good side of Steve Jobs, which was a real shame. And they also focused a lot on, and then the other thing is when they, sorry, Kim's video has died again. When they did show the negative side of Jobs, they didn't go far enough. They didn't go far enough in talking about his illness and how much Jobs and Apple actively lied to the media about his illness. Where we would ask questions of PR people, and Katie Cotton looked me in the eye and lied to me about Steve Jobs' health. They sent out press releases lying about Steve Jobs' health. And that's fine if he's just some guy. But he's a CEO of a major corporation. This was life-threatening. That's something that shareholders should have been apprised of. Because at that time, Apple was Steve Jobs. And if Steve Jobs is going to die, people don't want to hold Apple shares. Because they're going to collapse when he dies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there was some points they didn't go far enough. I think maybe that's my own personal bias because I was lied to directly by Apple. So I wish they'd gone a little deeper in that. Next up is I'm really looking forward to the Aaron Sorkin movie with Michael Fassbender. That's going to hopefully be the last Steve Jobs movie. We don't need any more Steve Jobs movies. But because it's Aaron Sorkin, because it's Fassbender, who's a great actor, I think that one is going to be very, very interesting. MacMan says it's a tough one. Steve was almost deified at one point. He deserves his privacy, but as you said, he's also the CEO of the most valuable company on the planet. Yes, he does deserve his privacy. But when his health issues affect the company, we don't know how his absences may or may not have affected the company. I don't think they did. I think Tim Cook has proven that he's a very, very good CEO, and he ran Apple ably during Jobs' illness. But we didn't know this at the time. That's what's called material information that Apple held from the media and from shareholders. And then lying to the media is like, for us in the media, it's the worst thing you can do to us, is lie directly to us. That gets us all pissed off. You can say no comment. I have no problem. If I'd asked Katie Cotton about Jobs and she said no comment, I would have reported no comment. That's not what she said. She said, oh, it's just a stomach virus. He's just got the flu. Oh, he's got some nutritional issues. Those are the three things that she said to me. And they were all lies. She never said he has a rare form of pancreatic cancer. He's having a liver transplant. It's not taking. But again, Shawn, don't breathe in and talk at the same time. Email to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Please send us emails anytime you'd like to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com or Shawn@yourmaclifeshow.com. As always, we'd like for you to subscribe to Your Mac Life and put a few shekels in our pocket so we can maybe buy frickin' iPad Pros with. They're going to be expensive. Go to the website, yourmaclifeshow.com. On the left-hand side there, you can subscribe to Your Mac Life for $10, $15, $2, $5 a month, whatever you so choose. We appreciate that. So thanks very much for doing that. Remember, next week we will not have a show on Wednesday evening because
we're in Mexico.
3 days, 7 hours, 58 minutes. Can you tell we're excited? We are so excited, kids. She's already packed. Our suitcase is sitting by the front door.
Yep.
The Penguin suitcase is already packed and at the front door. That's how so ready we are to be going to let me see if I can't. There it is. Let me just show the audience this. This is our suitcase right now as we speak. That suitcase,
ready to go.
As we speak, is ready to go. Now, the question is, will you unpack that between now and Sunday morning?
No, I'm ready to go.
You're not going to check it?
No. I'm not
Nothing
that
else you
kind
need
of
to put in
girl.
there?
Nope.
I want my shoes out of there.
No.
You packed my shoes.
Yeah, they're packed. Wear something different.
But look, I guess I got no choice. So yes, we will be gone next week. We're gonna try to do some stuff. We're gonna try to put some stuff online, but certainly we'll have stuff on Flickr and on Twitter and on the other websites. So stay tuned to that. Until next week, folks. As always, I've been Shawn King,
and I'm always Kim Guy.
And you've been listening to Your Mac Life. Thanks very much. See ya.